What's happening, booth junkies? Mike Delgadio here, back with another video, and we are outside our booth this time, aren't we? I'm off to a recording session at an outside studio at a local television station, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about getting ready for a session if you've never been to one before, some of the things you might expect and some of the things you should do in advance. First, the things that you'll need to bring to your session, at least that I always bring to my session whenever I'm recording, is first, you want to get your scripts. If you have your scripts in advance, it helps to look them over, get familiar, and understand what your scripts are going to be. It helps to rehearse them, to get them sort of into your mouth and know if there's any words that you need to pronounce or you don't know how to pronounce. My script has a couple of words that I'm not quite sure, they're names of locations that I'm not quite sure I know how to pronounce. So I've gone through, I've underlined them in my script so I know to ask. Don't forget your glasses, if you need glasses. And I also bring, usually they have them there, but I also bring my writing implements. And I always bring 2 extra pencils. And if you've watched my other video, you know why. So those are the things that you really got to bring. You got to make sure that you have your scripts. You got to make sure that you have glasses, writing implement. Bring a water bottle. My water bottle's in the back, but you bring a water bottle, and because you want to stay hydrated. Before the session, starting this morning, I wanted to make sure I was hydrated. So you should be doing that every day, but you always make sure that you're hydrated so your mouth doesn't make any noise. And you should dress nice but comfortably. My experience, you don't need to wear a suit. You wear something that's open and comfortable, but you want to look good because you're going to be among professionals and you're going to their workplace. You should also wear quiet clothes. So listen to your clothes and make sure they don't have any like weird rustling things. Like a lot of synthetic fabrics will make a rustling noise that you don't necessarily want to have in the booth, because as you fidget, that mic will pick it up. So nice cotton clothing, it really helps. When you get to your session, you can expect some people to be there. Generally, there will be an engineer of some sort, and that's the guy who's running the actual studio. He will make sure that your levels are right, and he should take care of all the editing and everything related to the technical side of the recording. You can also expect a client to be there. Usually the client will be the writing or the marketing folks, depending on what you're recording. They will be the folks that are making sure that you're saying the words in a way that they want to hear. They'll tell you if there's anything additional. You may also have a director who is actually directing you on the session, and the client will just be back there listening and critiquing, because sometimes the client doesn't want to have to give you the feedback directly. You may also have a writer in the room. So in this case, I do expect a writer to be in the room. So in case there's any, these are all taglines for an ongoing campaign. So we're doing a year's worth of television advertising in this session. And so as we say things, if they want to do a different take, they'll have the writer pen me up new words. I don't get to have any say on the words. So when you get to your session, make sure you know who you're going to see. Make sure if you're with a talent agency, if you need to bring any paperwork for them. My talent agency, we have a voucher that everybody signs off on. Make sure you have all of that. And when you get in, just introduce yourself, and you can make small talk and just be comfortable. And the whole idea is to get over any nerves you might have when you're in your session. So I don't know that I'll be able to turn my camera on during this session, but those are the people that you can, otherwise I'd show you, but those are the people that you can expect to see. And they're expecting you to be professional, but they're also rooting for you to do a good job. So don't be nervous. Just pretend they're not there and get in front of the mic and do what they hired you to do. If you've auditioned and you won your audition, you can already sort of rest assured that they like what they heard in the audition, and they're interested in your voice and they like what you've delivered. So you've already got a leg up, and they want you to win. So stay calm, get in there, do your business, and just act like a professional. That's the that's the sort of the long and short of the best advice that I have for you is just act like a pro. If I can turn my camera on or take some stills of what this session looks like, this is at one of the major television stations here in Pittsburgh. But if I'm in the same studio, I'm going to use that word studio as last time, I think you'll be surprised at what this actually looks like. And if it's the one I was in before, it may not be too different than your home studio. So, after, I'll recap how it went, and yeah, I'll give you any other lessons learned. One other thing that you should always remember to do, and that is get to your recording session early. So my recording session is at 10 o'clock, and it was raining this morning, so I wanted to make sure I got there early, had plenty of time to park, didn't get have any nerves dealing with being late, so I'm going to get there probably a half an hour early. The best piece of advice I have for you is you don't make the client wait. We wait for the client. So don't be late. Get there early and hang around, drink some water, but don't be late. And they'll always think of you as a pro.
All right, so we'll do a little bit of after-the-fact narration about this picture because I really couldn't record all that much in there. I don't like to make make anybody uncomfortable by flying my camera around. So I snuck a couple of seconds, but I didn't want to mess around too much. But this is, as the voice actor, this is what I was seeing. Now, this is at one of the biggest TV stations in Pittsburgh where I work. But let's look at what we have here because this is how you can make a studio. Note this back wall is covered with acoustic foam, and that's probably a 2-inch Oralex acoustic foam. There's no treatment on the desk. Otherwise, there's really no other treatment. There was a green screen behind me. I think they do some green screens for commercials. I had television lights on me. So this room was being illuminated not only with fluorescence, but they also had a whole bank of bright television lights on me. So that was a little bit strange, but you get used to it. So I just have a shotgun mic here on top of the table, and I think that was the key to having a good session in this acoustic space. If they just had like a condenser mic, I would have been in trouble. It would have been echoey and reverberant like crazy. But this microphone has a very narrow pattern, was aimed directly at my mouth, and so that's all it was picking up. And that gray device is called a Zoom H5. It's a great little interface. If you don't have one, it's a great portable recorder. It supplies phantom power. He's got his headphones. That's the curly cord. He's got his headphones listening in. At the top, that XY mic configuration, that just is part of it. My mic is actually plugged into the bottom. You can sort of see that there's one little tiny red light above the third button from the left on that in the middle of that interface. So he only has one channel armed. And so down in front of me, I have my script, and the iced tea to the left is where the director sat, and where the Zoom H5 is, that's where the engineer sat, and the gentleman to the back, that's the client. So he's listening to me. So we're all right there in the same room. So the engineer would just say, "We're rolling, speed," and he would nod, and I'd do my take. And so I just sat there. So you just have to, it's almost like if you're an actor, I guess it's like a table read, but you just got to be comfortable with people staring right at you. Now, I will say that this is reasonably unconventional. This is probably, of all the studios I've been to in my area, this is the only one that's ever like this. Normally, you're in a booth behind glass, and there's someone with a real professional, a big mixing board, because many of the studios will be recording music also. But you do sort of come across all different kinds of scenarios, and you have to be able to walk in and go, okay, I've never seen anything like this, but there's a microphone, and I'm going to talk into that. And so that's what you do. And so this whole session lasted about 25
minutes for a year's worth of TV advertisements. I was only able to get a couple of seconds worth of video, so you got to see the setup in there. As you can see, it was just a room with a little tiny bit of acoustic treatment and a little tiny table with a bunch of people sitting around it. So at that particular session, there was the client, there was an engineer who was using a Zoom H5 as his recording interface, and another person who was essentially my director, and she was keeping track of time codes. And the way it worked is each take, they just said, we're rolling, and there's a TV guy there, so he was using the word speed, which I think is like an old film reference if the camera was up to speed, but he would just say speed, nod, and off I would go on my take. That's all there was to it. They were always saying, let's do a safety take, or making sure that I was hitting my time. Each one of those things I had to do, I had to make a certain time to make sure that it fit within the specific time that the session was for. And so I had to hit 7 seconds on the button for each one of those. I'd be 7.5 or 6, and sometimes I'd have to go a little bit faster, a little bit slower. And that just takes a little bit of practice. But that's it. I mean, we ended up doing 35 spots, and it took about 55 takes to get it all done. So if you stumble at all, you just stop. The engineer heard it. Everybody knows you made a mistake. You just stop. They'll reset, and then you go again. And that's the big thing, is you don't show frustration. You just, if you say something wrong, you just go, whoop. They'll reset, and they'll take it again. They're used to voice actors doing that all the time because everything has to be perfect. So if you stumble on a word, just stop, they'll reset, and you keep going. But the biggest thing is, if you make a mistake, just stop, take a breath, and go over again. If you make a mistake 3 times in a row, stop, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, get a sip of water, and then just reset. And you'll be good to go. So anyway, that's what a session is like. I hope this helps. Now, get in your booth and record something amazing.